When discussing sound, it can be simplified into three different groups: simple sine wave tones, complex periodic tones, and complex aperiodic tones. Music contains all three of these types. Let's start with some simple sine tones. As we know, sinusoids consist of a single frequency, which is periodic in nature or repeats throughout time. Next are what we call periodic complex tones. This is where sound gets very interesting. Periodic complex tones consist of more than one sine wave, and if you correctly add multiple sine waves together, you begin to get a complex periodic tone. Another important factor about complex periodic tones is that they have what is called a fundamental frequency. You can think of the fundamental frequency as the lowest frequency sine wave within a periodic complex tone. Another way to determine the fundamental is first finding the period of the periodic complex tone, what is known as the fundamental period. Then finding the inverse. The following is the equation for fundamental frequency. This is very similar to the equation and idea from the previous crash course in the last video. So please feel free to check out episode 1 if you need a quick refresher on how to figure out periodicity. Lastly, within a periodic complex tone is what are called harmonics. Harmonics are multiples of the fundamental frequency and give timbre or color to the sound. Oftentimes, the harmonics are the only thing left in the sound, and not the fundamental. Finally, we have aperiodic complex tones. These tones lack a fundamental frequency and any actual periodicity. They are also made up of an infinite number of sine waves. This is commonly known in the music realm as noise. Although these sounds lack any real tonality, noise can still have unlimited frequencies within it, or it could be limited to a certain frequency range. It has many frequencies that don't have a harmonic relationship. Simple tones, periodic complex tones, and aperiodic complex tones are all present in most songs that we hear today. Before we move on, I'd like to introduce a new style of graph that we'll be analyzing. This is called the spectrogram. It measures frequency over time and the amount of energy that exists within each frequency. The spectrogram is a useful tool for visualizing your sounds and is an easy way to see things such as your fundamental frequency. Let's take a closer look at these sounds and their integral parts in music production. Please remember to take a second to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Often in music, sine waves can be useful in the lower frequency ranges to help give depth or body to sound. This is where the term sub or sub-bass comes from. When we use a simple sinusoid subtone and layer it under a melody, the psychoacoustic effect of weight occurs, and this is often very pleasing to us as listeners. Please note that these frequencies can be difficult to hear on smaller sound systems. We can check it out on the Vision 4X spectrogram. Let's move on to periodic complex tones. Most commonly, we will hear these types of tones within a musical composition. Pianos, guitars, trumpets, violins, and any other tonal instruments create periodic complex tones. The main melodies in music, and even a singer's vocals, are complex periodic tones. Remember that these sounds are tonal and have a fundamental frequency, which is the note that is played by the instrument. Often the greatest amount of energy is focused around the fundamental frequency, as we can see here in the 100 to 150 Hz range. The overtones, or harmonics, can be seen here and give timbre to the sound. To make these sounds even more complex, we can add effects and a little bit of processing. Our last example, of course, are aperiodic complex tones, or noise. Noise is less straightforward and lacks tonality, but is nonetheless crucial for music production. When we hear the tick of a hi-hat, the hiss of a snare, or the whoosh of other effects, these are all moments of noise that give character and clarity to these sounds. It's also worth noting that combining aperiodic with periodic sounds produce many of the recognizable sounds we hear in music. Let's take all of the creations here and then hear them in context. Hopefully now you have a better understanding of these sounds and how they exist in music, and can either apply these concepts to your own works, or if you don't make music, maybe you will now be able to better identify what exactly you are listening to. Thanks for joining me on this episode of Hearingscience for Music Producers. I'll catch you next time.